The price of the Steam Machine has been a topic of nonstop discussion. We've heard many different things surrounding how much it potentially will cost. Linus Tech Tips weighs in again on whether the price of it will actually be a good deal. Two Xbox first party games in the rumors for the first half of 2026. What could be coming out here? It's going to be a massive year next year. We already know that from the games that we know are coming. Are there going to be more? And Assassin's Creed Shadows is landing on the Nintendo Switch 2. It's a beautiful looking game. It's one of the best looking games I think we've seen so far this generation with the huge open world and all the things within that. How is that going to run on the Nintendo Switch 2? So as we know, the Steam Machine is coming out in 2026. They gave us the announcement that they are expanding out their ecosystem a couple of weeks ago. You have the Steam Deck, you have the Steam Machine, you have PC, all with Steam OS, which is phenomenal. If you've ever used Steam OS in the big picture mode, it works very, very good. And it is something that they've expanded out to other handhelds as well with the Lenovo Legion Go S Steam OS version of it, which is a phenomenal handheld. And then now you're getting the console like experience with the Steam Machine coming next year. They're calling it a PC, but I mean, you sit down, you look at it, you connect it to your TV, you're sitting back on your couch with a controller. It's going to feel and play exactly like a console, like a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X or S, but they're branding it as a PC. And I think one of the main reasons they are branding it as a PC is because they know that they're going to have to price this thing like a PC. They're not subsidizing the cost of the Steam Machine. They're going to be basically putting it within the same range as if you were to go and build this thing yourself, but it'll be more expensive. You probably could find it cheaper with those exact specs. In fact, I have a tweet where you can already find something like the Steam Machine, maybe even slightly better, for about $5.99. But when you have the branding, you have the integration of the operating system and the whole Valve side of things, you're going to have to pay a little bit more for that. Linus Tech Tip is revealing here, that's the Steam Machine price predictions, that Valve wants this to be a good deal. He's talked about this previously. He said that he had asked or thought that this could be in the range of the console pricing, and then everybody at Valve just kind of stayed quiet, which signified, yeah, they're not doing that. They're not subsidizing. They're going to be pricing this in the range of a PC. But Linus Tech Tips here is predicting the price could be $700 for the Steam Machine, and he says this with an official prediction for the initial cost, saying, without being a fly on the wall in their boardroom, it's impossible to say for sure. All that Valve would tell us is that they want their hardware business to be sustainable. But what does that mean? He says this on November 27th. He says, I think it means $700 or $699.99 if there's no major changes in the market. It's probably above Valve's cost today, and there will be some opportunities for them to improve their margins over the several year lifespan of their device as their initial investment gets paid off and hopefully RAM and SSD pricing returns to some kind of normalcy. So he obviously has a good pulse on the market. He went there, he tested it out. $700 seems like what a lot of people are predicting that this could be. He says that notes that the Steam Machine offers a compelling value at that price point, saying, I don't love this answer, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who's sitting here wishing that it was priced like a game console. Who wouldn't want that affordable of a PC? A big reason I want this thing to be affordable so bad is because it is a PC with all the benefits of a PC. So I agree with that. I think a lot of people were wanting this to be console pricing, but it is a PC, and they were very clear on that when they announced this. And I think that was strategic. That was the reason they were doing that, is because the main thing here is you can do whatever you want on it. Of course, you can install an operating system, like it's not locked down in any form. You can put Windows on it, but if you're picking this up, you're looking at this as an extension, a companion to your Steam ecosystem. You're going to plug and play with it. Most people are going to get this, plug it into their TV, use Steam OS, the big picture mode and everything, because it is very good. And then they're just going to go and use that thing when they don't want to be sitting in front of their monitor. They don't want to be sitting at a desk. They want to sit back and relax on a couch and then continue playing where they were left off on their PCs. So it's going to act as a console, although they are calling it a PC. I think for the most people, $700 realistically, even if it is a PC and they're going with PC pricing, it does come in the current range of the consoles. At this point, when you think about the PlayStation 5 Pro at the high end, You have the Series S at the low end. Then you have a bunch of stuff in between. But you can argue that this thing is going to be less powerful than much of those. Like it's going to be between the Series S and the PS5. So people were expecting this to be in the $400-500 range. I just don't think that is where this is going to end up landing. And in fact, we have the Fox here who tweeted this out, Kerry Gollum on X, where you can find something slightly better than a Steam machine already for $550 from a Wario64 post saying the HP Omen 16L gaming desktop PC, AMD Ryzen 5 8400F, 16GB DDR5, RAM 512GB SSD, and an AMD Radeon RX 7600 for $550 pre-built. And you could easily attach this to a TV and then run whatever you want on it, whether that is Windows full screen experience, whether that is Steam OS and the big picture mode. You can do all of that and you're going to get it for cheaper than what the Steam machine is going to be coming out at. But it's still, the reality is, I think they're really just sitting back and targeting their hardcore Steam players, people who want to stay in that the ecosystem, don't ever want to leave that, don't ever want to venture out to any other sort of ecosystem, will always want to play in Steam. They don't care about playing Battlefield 6, Fortnite, or Call of Duty. They're playing their games that run on Steam, and that's it. And they're going to get that, and they're going to expand their ecosystem out that way. I don't think they're targeting the consumer that's going to walk into a store, because they're probably not even going to be sold in the store, looking to pick up a console. I don't think they're targeting the casual gamer. They're targeting the hardcore Steam players, which is sort of what they did with the Steam Deck as well. It's for the hardcore PC players that love Steam, don't leave it, and they sold, the estimates I think were like 6 or 7 million at this point, and I think they're going to be targeting around that number as well for the Steam machine, and that should be more than likely completely fine for them. So $700 is going to be an interesting price point. How will the market take it? We'll see when they officially do announce the price, if that's what they end up going with. If they could get that down to $599, I think that even that $100 makes a big difference in people's minds as to whether they would want to pick it up just as something to have, even if Steam isn't the only place that they play. Maybe they do want to install Windows on it and put the Xbox full screen experience on there, so they get the best of both worlds, where they can get their Xbox content, they can get all the games with anti-cheat, and they also get their entire Steam library. You can even run Steam Big Picture mode out of that. All of that is compelling because of the form factor as well. So good stuff there, but the price will be a major determining factor when they finally do announce it. I'm still optimistic about this. I'm still relatively excited about the Steam machine. The question is, do you pick this up and then tinker with it, or just leave it the way it is? Or do you just wait and for the future as to what else is going to come out? There's a lot of unknowns as well with the RAM prices. Nothing is going to get less expensive. The $699 may actually look like a decent offer when we start seeing the prices of future things that are going to be coming out, even if you compare it to the upcoming Xbox hardware PC console hybrid, which I'm excited for. That'll be more expensive, but it'll also be far more powerful. That is the major difference here that we're going to be getting with the next generation of Xbox. So lots to be foreseen here when it comes to the Steam machine, but I'm still excited for it to be announced with the price and for the official release of it. When it comes to Xbox first-party titles, it looks like we are going to be getting something in the first half of 2026. Could be a major game, as Nate the Hate has commented on here, obviously a well-known insider who has gotten a lot of things correct. So this is a rumor at this point saying that 2 Xbox first-party titles get leaked for a 2026 release window. And first of all, the first half of 2026, a target for Forza Horizon 6. And I believe this. I think that is what they are targeting for Forza Horizon. I think this game is basically ready. They're going to push this thing out in the first half, and then we'll get the other major first-party titles for the 25th anniversary later on in the year. But it says here, let's look at the narrower release window to start off. Nate the Hate, a well-known gaming leaker, has taken to social media this week to reiterate that Forza Horizon 6 is planned for the first half of 2026. We've heard a similar rumor to this one before, but for now, Xbox and Playground Games have simply attached a broad 2026 window. I think it'll be in the first half. The other one here is that a second game in question is not quite as specific in terms of its window, but it could be an interesting update here from Xbox Game Studios once they give us more information on what else is coming out. And I believe this is above and beyond what we know with Halo and the Fable and the Gears and obviously Forza. Clockwork Revolution is what they're saying here could be the game. I wouldn't be shocked if that's it. We've seen this one, I think it was 2 years ago now. And I would have a feeling that In Exile is getting close to releasing this game, that it is ready to go. They say here that the Gaming Leaks and Rumors subreddit has spotted that former In Exile writer Nathan Long has Clockwork Revolution listed on LinkedIn as one of their 2026 projects. I think Clockwork Revolution is going to hit next year, and I'm very excited about that. And I wonder when they will announce it. Will this be something they do at the beginning of the year in January when they do their partner preview, or not their partner preview, their developer direct? We just had their partner preview. When they do their developer direct, will they announce that it's coming out this year then? And how are they going to slot this in? Because if they hit on everything, Fable, Gears, Halo, Forza, all four of those from their major first party to celebrate, obviously, 25 years of Xbox, they're going to have another big first party game, Clockwork Revolution, a fifth game. Then they're going to have third party titles that they're going to have Game Pass deals with. We know they said 75 day one games if you're a part of Ultimate. So many games. The scheduling is always an interesting thing because you don't want to just drown out certain titles, especially if they're similar in genre. The release windows and the release dates are going to have to be very strategic. But next year is going to be massive. Like this year was great, last year was great. Next year is going to be both of those, I think, by a mile, based off of everything that we are hearing, if they actually deliver, which I have a good feeling that they will. Finally, Assassin's Creed Shadows on the Nintendo Switch 2. I'm going to play this. I've checked out Star Wars Outlaws on the Switch 2, and I beat Star Wars Outlaws on my Xbox, but I checked that out on the Switch 2. I was impressed at how that game ran in handheld mode on a much less powerful device. Ubisoft has done a great job with their optimization. I'm even more interested on how Shadows is going to run because it's an absolutely beautiful game. And now we're getting a little bit of information here on exactly how we can expect this on the Switch 2. It should be running at 30 FPS with NVIDIA DLSS and baked global illumination. All of this, it all sounds like, yes, that makes sense for the Switch 2, but how is this going to run once we have it in our hands? I'll probably do a video or some sort on that because I'm interested in just how these big AAA games get optimized down for the Switch 2, especially in the handheld mode. But they say here that the game's engine, the latest version of Anvil, featured many big improvements, ushering the franchise into the next generation with technologies, like a bunch of stuff that they added in. And if you've played Shadows, one of the first things that stood out for me is I thought this was really the first next generation Assassin's Creed in the way that it did look graphically and the physics of the game, comparatively to something like Valhalla, which released at the beginning of the generation. Shadows was definitely a next gen one, even much more so than Mirage, which was great, but still kind of felt like it was in the last gen a little bit. And Shadows improved on a bunch of stuff. But they say here that the Switch 2 platform, however, is far less powerful than the platforms on which the game was first released. And according to Ubisoft's project lead programmer, Bruno, the developers had to fundamentally redesign how the world is rendered, and even how the game systems of Assassin's Creed interact with each other. And the core simulation systems like Clouds and Cloth are preserved, but heavily optimized and sometimes downscaled to lower GPU load. With global illumination uses, the baked solution already employed on low-spec PC and Xbox Series S to save RAM. You have to admit now at this point, although a lot of people hate on the Series S and say it held back the generation, I bet you the Series S has helped developers greatly with handheld optimized games and with the Nintendo Switch 2, as we do see that here, that they're looking at what they did with the Series S and delivering that on the Nintendo Switch 2. And they say here, they're rather than relying on the console's hardware ray tracing support to deliver the ray traced global illumination. And beyond that, Ubisoft has extensively tuned down every parameter: LOD, draw distances, texture resolutions, and object streaming per scenario, reducing NPC counts only where necessary in dense hubs to uphold performance. And they say that the lower frame rate limit for VRR is typically 40 FPS, but Assassin's Creed Shadows runs at 30 FPS on the Nintendo Switch 2, saying we didn't want to compromise on that aspect, and so we built a dedicated algorithm that keeps VRR enabled even at 30 FPS, keeping the game as fluid and responsive as possible. So we'll see. we'll see what happens. 30 FPS is what I expected for the Switch 2. I have a feeling based off of Star Wars Outlaws, which was very impressive to me, running on that device, that the same thing will be here with Assassin's Creed Shadows. And I will absolutely be checking that out. I beat the game. I haven't gone to the DLC yet. Maybe I'll play the DLC on the Switch too and just enjoy it on that aspect on the go in my hands if it is an enjoyable experience, or at least enjoyable enough, similar to Cyberpunk 2077, which was great on the Switch 2, and with Star Wars Outlaws. But on the video there, if you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. If you're new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.